The box for the theremin is better done with a non-conductive material to favor the interactions of the LF radio waves between the instrument and the person that plays it. For my theremin, I decided to use a 3D printed box made of PLA. Today, we will go through the details of the design and assembly of the bottom part of the box. Hi there! I am Carlo Carrano, and this is Electronics Engineering Made Easy. To design the box for the theremin, I use this tool called OpenSCAD. This tool allows me to write instructions to build the various pieces of the 3D object that I need to create. Once the design is completed, the tool generates an STL file that can be inputted to any slicer to generate the final G-code for the 3D printer. What you see here is essentially the bottom part of the box. The top piece will be part of a different design that I will show you in another video. Of the two panels you see in this object, one is facing the player and the other one is facing the audience. The one facing the player has pre-made holes to host the potentiometers to tune the theremin, an on-off switch, and a couple of jack sockets for an external amplifier and the earpiece. The other panel has just a grid that allows for the sound generated by the internal speaker to exit the box. The bottom part of the object has a number of pins that will be used to hold in place the perf board with the electronic circuits, these four here, and a transformer for the power supply. The cord for the power supply comes out of the box from the bottom of it, from this hole. This was a choice that was dictated by practicality. Since the theremin will be played while standing on a tripod, the cable will not stand in the way as if it was coming out from one of the two panels. Let's now move to the printer to create this 3D object. And finally, here is the bottom section of the theremin's box. While testing the size of the holes for the panel components, I realized that I didn't put into account the little shrinkage that happened when a 3D object is printed. I found too late that the panel components did not fit into the holes. A quick measurement with my caliper found that the holes are just 0.5 mm too small. Rather than modify the box design and reprint the 3D object, I decided to enlarge the holes manually a little bit with my drill. The result was good enough from my perspective. If you decided to print your own box, remember to make the holes about 1 mm in diameter larger than the components that have to fit into them. Now that I had the bottom part of the theremin case, it was time to think of the artwork design of the two panels. Armed with Inkscape, I started with the background of the panel facing the player. I added to it the location of the holes for the potentiometers and the other components, and then added the label on each hole to identify the purpose of the particular potentiometer or socket. I didn't put any label on the position of the switch because the switch I plan to use has already its own plate with marks on and off. I then added a big label with the name of the instrument itself, the Theremin. And finally, I changed the color of the label to a shade of blue that makes the observer believe that it comes from the blue of the box itself, which was made of blue PLA. Finally, I sent the file to the color inkjet printer, making sure that the printer would preserve the dimensions that I defined in my panel design. For the print, I used this sticker project paper, which can be printed with either a laser printer or an inkjet printer. Once the print was done, I waited a few hours to let the ink dry completely, and then I cut the labels for the two panels. Here is the final result. Once the labels were ready, I glued them to the panels by slowly removing the paper from the back to expose the self-adhesive. A utility knife helped in removing the parts of the label that were obstructing the holes. And finally, it was time to mount the first few components to the case: the on-off switch, the loudspeaker, which was held in place with some nylon hardware, and the transformer that will be used for the power supply. Everything else will be added later on when the right time comes.